righty, everybody. Welcome back to Tell Me About You. I am Kayla, your awesome host, and today we have another amazing, awesome guest. Now, usually, you already know we do the Tell Me About You, but Joey here is going to tell y'all about it because he got some good stuff on the way, and we love to hear about it. All right, go ahead and let us know, Joey.
Well, first of all, I don't know if I can live up to that introduction. I'll try. Yeah, my name's Joey Mills. I am with VXV Events. We are a Comic Con, anime festival, horror convention, live events company. And we have a show coming up in Peoria, Illinois, the weekend before Thanksgiving. It is Saturday the 22nd and Sunday the 23rd. And it's our last one of the year. So we're expecting to go out big. We're going to blow this thing out.
So, who are like some of the guests?
We've got a few that you may have heard of, and if not, then you'll get to meet them and hear of them for the first time at the show. Uh, the biggest one's probably the one that most people know is Steve Burns, the original host of Blues Clues. He will be with us this weekend. Theo Rossi from Sons of Anarchy, Luke Cage, a few other, The Penguin he was on recently, and David LaBrava from Sons of Anarchy as well. We've got Barry Lowen from The Mandalorian. He is one of the guys when you don't see Pedro's face, you just see somebody walking around in a suit. He's one of like the three guys that walk around in the suit when Pedro's not available to shoot.
Mm.
We have Andy Black from Black Veil Brides, the band. We have Matt Ryan from DC's Legends of Tomorrow and Constantine. Michael Bean from The Terminator, Tombstone, Johnny Ringo from The Tombstone, and his wife Jennifer. We have Kari Payton. He was King Ezekiel in The Walking Dead, also voices Cyborg and a bunch of other characters for DC in the
Mm.
cartoons. A couple Power Rangers coming out. We've got Karen Ashley, Steve Cardenas. We have Vernon Wells. He plays the bad guy in a bunch of 80s movies, including The Road Warrior and Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Voice actors, we have Joshua Seth, we have Billy West, who's been in just about everything. He's probably best known for Futurama. He's
Mm.
Fry on Futurama. And then we've got a trio from the anime Death Note. We have Brian Drummond, Alessandro Giuliani, and Brad Swale coming. We have WWE Hall of Famers, Devon Dudley and Tugboat. Bunch of comic book creators, Michael Golden, Arthur Sidham, Renee Witterstetter, and Anna Zhao. And we have cosplay judges as well, cosplay guests. Little Red Fox cosplay, DCW builds, lore builds. I know Justin Evergarden's not one of the judges, but he's joining us as well. So we've got a lot of folks coming out. It's going to be a big time.
Yes, and you said Steve from Blues Clues.
Yes.
So, my brother, well, my entire family, of course, being a millennial, we grew up looking at Steve. We love
Oh, yeah.
ourselves some Steve. And my brother was actually, because he was like, I'm gonna come up there for Thanksgiving. And I was like, okay, cool, cool, cool. And I was like, the convention is happening. He said, okay. I said, Steve's gonna be there. He said, I'll be there a week early. I said, Steve.
Well,
He said,
Steve won't be there a week early, so there's no point in getting there that soon.
nah, because he all the way in Texas. What made you guys pick these specific people, and how'd you guys bring everybody in?
I'm looking through the list. I think the only people that we've not worked with in the past at other conventions are Matt Ryan and Tugboat, the WWE Hall of Famer. Everybody else, we do about 20 shows a year, conventions a year. And a lot of times, what we do is we try to find people that, if they're popular and they're good with the fans and they enjoy the whole Comic Con scene, we try to continue to work with them over and over and invite them back. So what we'll do is we'll kind of put together our schedule for the year. We'll send it out to their agents and be like, yeah, take your pick. We love this person. We love that person. And yeah, this group of people were excited to spend their weekend before Thanksgiving in Peoria with us. So yeah, it's a weird business. It's a crazy business how this all comes together.
It seems like again a ton of things go into
Yeah,
all of this. So, like, you said this is the last one for you guys this year. What are
yeah.
some of the other ones that you guys do throughout the year that aren't in Illinois?
So we do primarily shows in the Midwest and Mid South. We go to places that the big companies that put on the big Comic Cons aren't going to go to. So
Mm.
the people that are doing shows in Chicago or in New York or San Diego, Denver, wherever, they're not coming to Peoria, and we're not going to Chicago, San Diego, New York, Denver either. So we tried to find kind of that big small town that isn't being served by a Comic Con. And so Peoria is definitely on the list. Next year, we're adding another one in Illinois, Quad Cities Comic Con up in East Moline. But beyond that, we do a couple shows in Missouri, in Springfield, Missouri. We got shows in Wichita, Kansas, Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've got a bunch in Arkansas. We got a couple shows in Little Rock. We got Rogers, Arkansas, Hot Springs, Arkansas. We've got a bunch of shows in Memphis next year. Jackson, Mississippi has quite a few.
Mm,
We're in Columbia, South Carolina a couple times next year. Mobile, Alabama, Birmingham. So yeah, we just kind of we look again, like I said, we look for the smaller markets where those big companies aren't going that have a population that's hungry for this kind of stuff. When we kind of go scout out an area to see if that's a place we want to put in a convention, we're looking for things like, do they have comic book stores? Do they had collectible card gaming stores? Do they have an arcade? The kind of stuff that people are going to get. If there's enough people to support those businesses, then there's enough people that would enjoy a Comic Con in that area. So that's kind of how we put it together. And again, we stick mostly to the Mid South and Midwest for a couple of reasons. And one of the big ones is it's a different vibe. Every city's got its own flavor and its own culture, but you kind of can count on that small town neighborly feel when you stick around to the Midwest and you stick around, the Mid South. It's kind of, people are different. It's a little slower pace. It's a little friendlier a lot of times. So if we're going to keep bringing out celebrities, we want to make sure they're having good interactions with the fans. And these are the places where the fans are excited to meet some of these folks, and these people love coming back year after year to them.
hmm. Again, you guys do a lot of work. So with you guys picking Peoria,
Hmm.
did you, because as a person who lives here,
Hmm.
sometimes I don't see a lot of comic book places.
Yeah.
So so you guys coming here is like a treat.
Hmm.
We're like, oh my gosh, we got things happening. And
It's a busy weekend too. There's a lot of things happening that weekend.
oh my gosh, yes it is. I'm trying not to be a part of stuff, but
Yeah. Good
but
luck.
it's amazing that you guys made the decision to come here. So like was there a finalization where you guys were like, no, we definitely need to come to Peoria?
Yeah, like I said, we travel around to places we think we might want to go to. We look at a number of factors, like I said, and some of it is, are there businesses that support our average Comic Con attendee there? So yes, that's an important part of it. Also, having a facility that can host an event like this is a big part of it. There are other places we would love to go, but either they've got too much of a convention center, meaning it's way too big and they want way too much money, or they have too small or non-existent convention center, nothing that would fit our needs for the type of shows that we put on. But Peoria's got the Civic Center, which is awesome. I know that, again, I know it's a busy weekend, but I know there's a couple of comedians in town that weekend. One of them's using the theater, another one's using the arena. We're going to be using the convention hall. So, and I know some of those folks will be kind of crossing back and forth as well, hanging out with us. So there's a lot going on. But yeah, the ability to physically house an event like this and the interest and ability to support an event like this with people that are interested in these kind of things. Those are the two key factors. And yeah, when we scouted Peoria, that was easily an easy decision for us to make.
Hmm. So, turning more towards you, what made you want to get involved in all of this besides just, a job?
Yeah, no, it beats digging ditches. You're right. But I've been doing convention stuff off and on for about a decade now, about 10 years. I started off as a fan before I even got into that stuff. And I would have to travel from, 3 hours to Kansas City or St. Louis or whatever, because I'm in Southwest Missouri. But I started about 10 years ago. I was writing for content for a website. And part of that was, hey, I'm going to go cover this convention as press. And so I went to a show, was tired. I needed a place to sit down. So I sat down in one of the panel rooms when somebody was talking about some cosplay stuff, which didn't necessarily apply to me, but it was a nice, it was a seat and it was air conditioned and it was a place to rest. So I did. And then, afterwards, I wrote up the article about the convention and it was a good time. Everything was great for the most part. There were some photos that I had to turn in because I don't even know if I should say this. The stage, the drapes at the back of the stage, one of the celebrities was on stage and the drapes fell over. And so, for legal reasons, they asked if we send all photos we have of that event taking place. But it was a good event. But I asked, I said, tell me about those panels because that's the first time I've sat in on a panel. Usually, I've got other stuff to do. I said, do you just let anybody do that? And they said, oh no, there's a lot of work involved, a lot of research, a lot of prep work. And I said, well, that I understand that's your standard. It doesn't necessarily look like that's what was happening in that panel that I attended. They
Mm,
said, well, yeah, we have standards, but yeah, once people get in there, they kind of do their thing. I said, well, it looks fairly easy then. Okay. And they said, well, if you think it's so easy, why don't you do one next year then? I said, okay. So the next year came around. I did it. I was still covering his press, but I stopped to do one of the panels. And the person that I was working with came in and they were like, yeah, that went pretty well. So then the next year they said, hey, would you like to do 3 or 4 panels? And I said, sure, but I also get to do one of your celebrities on the stage. And they said, oh, I don't know. We have to get clearance for all that. Blah, blah. I said, oh, let me know. If you want me there to do other things, then I'm going to do this too. So that's what we did. And then after that, it turned into, I, as well, like you, I had a podcast for a while. We did almost 500 episodes. And
ooh,
so my crew, my podcast partners would go off and do those side room panels. And then I just kept getting more and more step work on the stage. And then post COVID, we did a show. It's normally one of the shows I did was normally a spring show, but it was in August because that's when things were available. Opened up, the building's back open, and I did like all of those for them because again they were looking for somebody that they could trust that was also with the protocols in place that they didn't have to worry about it. So yeah, from there it just kind of escalated. And then when this company came calling and said, "Hey, would you like to do our stages?" That I jumped on that, said absolutely. We did 2 shows that first year, and now we're up to 20. And then opportunities like, hey, we need somebody to help out with social media. Hey, I can do that from home. Yeah, that's no problem. We need somebody to help out with the websites, with the emails, with the press releases, doing interviews like this. So all those things kind of added up. And every time they would throw something else on my plate, I would ask for a little more money, and they never said no. So that's where we're at. So yeah, like I said, this is kind of the Monday through Friday job, although it also runs into weekends and evenings. But and then the weekends are yeah, I am the lead MC. I'm the lead moderator for the stage for these. So I don't do all of them by myself because I do need to take a break at some point. But I kind of assign and work with the crew that I have to like, okay, you're going to take this one, you're going to take this one, you're going to take that one, and we kind of work it out that way. So yeah, it's continued. 10 years ago, I never thought I would be sitting here talking to you about this stuff, but it's just funny how, you pay your dues and you just keep plugging along and kind of build a reputation and build a name and people start reaching out to you for stuff and always say yes. You always say yes to stuff because you never know if you say no once, that opportunity may never come around. But even like with the podcasting stuff, like what you're doing, all you can do is ask, right? Ask
yeah,
somebody if they would like to be an interview, and the worst that can happen is they ghost you. But the second worst thing that happens is they say no, but they never would have said no or ghosted you if you hadn't asked to begin with. And it's amazing some of the people that you'll meet just doing what you're doing, just by asking people, "Hey, would you be interested in coming on doing an interview with the podcast?" That again, that we did almost 500 episodes, and it was weird. Some of the people that we reaching out to us because like we would reach out to someone for an interview and they'd say yes, they'd have a good time. Their agent, they'd report back to their agent that went well, and then their agent's emailing us like, hey, we've got this person that's got this project coming out. Would you like to have them on your podcast? So again, it's just that whole asking the question. Yes, will you do this? Will you do this? When they say yes, do it. Do it to the best of your ability and just keep plugging along. And it's amazing all the little connections that happen that you never think about. Whether it's doing conventions, whether it's doing podcasts or whatever, everybody knows everybody in this business, it seems like. So you never know. If you do a good job, you never know what will come your way in the future.
mm. I do fully understand that. It's like even with me doing my podcast, like I got a little podcast. I'm
Yeah.
baby podcast compared
Oh,
to
me
a
too. That's what
whole
we
ton of
we
people.
were too.
Baby podcast, but it's like it was funny because the first person to agree to be on my podcast was one of the directors of SpongeBob.
Hmm.
And I was like, huh? What?
Yep.
For why? Because it's like it's getting rid of that imposter syndrome.
Right.
because that can really stop a lot of stuff.
But and all
That,
you got to do is listen to other podcasts. I mean, if you can speak coherently, you're better than 90% of the podcasts that are out there because everybody has a podcast, right?
yeah.
But yeah, if you and it's not even so much about the size of your audience. It's if you come across as a professional, if you use the proper channels, if you can write an email that has no punctuation errors, just little things like that that will put you ahead of, like I said, 90% of the people out there. And a lot of those other podcasters just don't ask. Like you said, it's a little bit of imposter syndrome, but it's also a matter of like, they're never going to say yes. So why would I even bother? Or I don't even know where to start looking. Who would I even get a hold of to talk to this person? But yeah, if you just do a little digging, you can find most of the answers and just be bold enough to ask the question. And like I said, the worst thing that happens is they say no. Okay, you are still went ahead it anyway if you hadn't asked. So at least you made the ask, right?
Yeah, because I know the biggest thing for me, and this is how I got out of my imposter syndrome,
Hmm.
and this may come, this part is not professional, but this is the thought that comes to my mind. Am I going to get beat up? Am
And
I going to get beat up? It's like, no,
no,
I'm not going to get beat up. I'm fine. So me asking, is he going to hurt me?
yeah.
So it's like, I might as well go on ahead. Because it, like you said, it's so many people. Like I interviewed Gary Anthony Williams,
Mhm.
fantastic individual. Um, the producers of Boondocks, fantastic people. And it's
Mhm.
like, and it's all because I asked. Even though I was petrified, I was like, oh, they're not gonna. This was me. And when I asked, I said, okay, they're gonna, I'm gonna be fine. It's cool.
Yeah.
That was me. I was over here scared, but it pushed me through it. And another
Mhm.
reason why, like, I have my podcast, like with your job, there's so many people who they don't see that there are different ways into the industry.
Mhm.
They only think, okay, I got to go just this way over here. No, like the job that you do, it has you being around a ton of people that people love.
Mhm.
And again, I'm pretty sure you just treat them like people how they want to be treated.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, at the first time or two, it's a little nerve-wracking, but that goes away pretty quick when you do it as often as we do. So, and like I said, we like to use a lot of the same people over and over just because they are the people that want to be there,
Mm,
and they want to interact with the fans, and we want that experience for the people that show up. So yeah, when you've worked with somebody 6 times that year, it becomes shorthand. You don't have to introduce yourself anymore or explain this is how this is going to work.
mm,
It's literally like, hey, are you ready? Okay, let's go. So it has benefits doing that. And to your point earlier, like you were saying, one of the things that always comes up because we do these mostly as Q&As. It used to be like, I'll interview this person, but then that got stupid because I can only interview that person so many times before I know all the answers.
mhm,
One time we actually did that with one of the guests. I was like, all right, here's the deal. They're going to ask the questions, but I'm going to answer them, and you just tell me if I get them wrong. And I didn't get any of them wrong because we'd done it so many times. So we do it mostly as a Q&A. And every time somebody will ask, how did you get into the business or whatever? And it's so interesting to hear because everybody's got a completely different story. Nobody's story is the same. And sometimes, it can feel like, well, that's how they let this person in. They're never going to let anybody else in that way again. But
mhm,
that's not necessarily always the case. So it's like you said, it's interesting what you learn doing these as well because you hear a lot of those stories, and it's amazing how many different ways there are to get into this industry or to get into whatever it is that you love. If you love computer science, it's amazing how many ways you can get into that, and find different avenues. Maybe you're a forensic computer scientist. Maybe you're doing this. Maybe you're coding. Maybe you're building apps.
mhm,
But yeah, there's so many options available. And like, nobody, when I was young, no, I wasn't thinking like, man, when I grow up, I'm going to be a Comic Con host. you know, Number one, wasn't a thing when I was young, but
mhm.
you never know. You just find what you're passionate about and just keep doing it until you get really good at it and start, like I said, be professional about it and build a reputation for yourself and market yourself and put yourself out there and do some things that are uncomfortable for a while until you learn how to master those things. So, and constantly be learning new stuff.
Yeah, because I know with me, so like this kind of stuff, I would usually do it on a daily basis without realizing it.
Hmm.
And a friend of mine was like, "You know you do this all the time, right?" I said, "What do you mean?" They were like, "You ask a lot of questions because you want to actually, because like you're actually interested in what people are talking about,
Mhm.
and that shows them that they're interested." And they're like, "Why don't you just go ahead and start a podcast?" And for the longest, I was like, "Who's gonna want to talk to me? What are we
Mhm.
talking about? I don't know." And so that's what made me come up with Tell Me About You, because then that gives me a chance to go in, not knowing as much as what a regular interview would know. And then it just turns into just a regular conversation.
Exactly.
And there are so many podcasts where I'll look, and it's like no shade to them or anything, but the interview, it doesn't feel like a conversation. So then it doesn't end up coming off as genuine.
Yep.
Because now I'm just like, so now then what happened? And then you
Mhm.
beat that person up. Why? Like these
Yep.
questions I end up asking them. So it's like to see how your journey has become the way it's come. And I'm assuming that you love what you do.
Mhm. If
The
I didn't, I wouldn't be doing it. There's a lot of time away
Exactly.
from home. I
Exactly.
built this place to be comfortable for me. I like being in my little studio garage toy room. So it takes a lot to get me out of here. So to be on the road, 20 weekends a year, yeah, I must really enjoy it. Otherwise, I would just stay home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that is a nice room right there. I was looking
Oh,
at it.
thanks.
I'm like, okay, gaming in the back.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
yeah. This
that.
used to be the studio. It's just a garage, but it looks pretty cool when you point the camera the right direction. You don't see the other stuff on the other side of the camera.
It's all right. It looks cool. It looks good. Look, I just got two pictures up here.
Yep.
Again, I'm not standing up, so we ain't gonna see all of it. But but no, this is like super awesome. And you talk about like hosting the panel. So like, how was it when you hosted your first panel? Like, what was
Oh
your
yeah,
thought
I was
process?
number one. It was really like the whole time I'm backstage waiting to get up there, I'm thinking to myself, why did I do this? Why did I do this to myself? I'm nervous wreck. I don't like this. It's uncomfortable. Then we got out there and we were doing fine. I honestly thought I was never going to do more than that one because I thought made a fireable offense, but apparently it was okay because they brought me back. But that particular place, they had a rule: no cell phones, don't recording videos during the Q and A's, the panels, the interviews. And the first one I had, the very first person I interviewed on a stage was the guy who voices Mario in all the Super Mario video games, right?
Oh,
Charles. So a kid came up to the microphone to ask a question, and I could see he was doing this thing to the side with his cell phone. Like I knew he was going to try to record this, and I'm like, man, and that's kind of I go to serve the fans, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh hey buddy, did they tell you you couldn't record this? And he was kind of like, yeah, and he started to put it away. I was like, well, guess what? Nobody told me I couldn't record it. So I went over there and grabbed his phone and recorded him asking the question and answering it and stuff and gave it back to him. And then backstage, the producer came over and was like, "No, you can't do that." I was like, "Okay, well, that there went that opportunity." But yeah, they either forgot about it or it wasn't as bad as they made it out to be. So, but yeah, it's just it is what it is. You just keep plugging away at it, and I with these Q&As, I will do tons of research, especially if it's somebody we've not had before.
mm,
If it's somebody we've had before and I kind of know the answers, I'll just kind of see what they're currently doing just to kind of be caught up. But I'll do tons of research on these folks and then never use like any of it because I will ask a couple of questions, then we'll have the audience questions. But what I'll do is I'll use that information when they're answering the audience's questions. So, like, my philosophy on hosting these things is ask them right at the beginning, get them settled in, ask them something that these people are not going to ask them. If
mm,
you're a voice actor who also runs a dog rescue, I'm going to ask you about the dog rescue. They're going to ask you the voice actor questions. I want to hear about the other stuff. And so right away, they're at ease. They're talking about something that they're passionate about that nobody's really asked them on a stage to talk about. So that kind of sets the tone right there. Like, okay, cool. We're all human here. We've all got things we're excited about. And then when they go to the floor to start asking questions, that's where the research part comes in because they'll answer a question. And if I know there's another answer there or there's a deeper answer there, I'll
mm,
kind of pick at the threads a little bit to get them to open up a little more to get the stories. Because part of it is, seeing what stories they've told on a stage before and which ones are fun and which ones are kind of fall flat and trying to get them not necessarily to repeat themselves, but trying to find the things that they like to do, like they like to talk about, and kind of nudge them that direction because you've done the homework. You know what they want to talk about and how they've talked about it in the past, and you try to find a new way to bring it up to them. And I just do that by having a conversation. Just, you answered that question, but tell me about this part of it because there's more there. I know there's more there. I'm not going to say there's more there, but I'm going to ask the question so that, hey, tell me a little bit more at that. And then you start, getting the answers that people really wanted. They don't want the superficial stuff, and that's where everybody defaults to because it's easy and it's safe. But if you build a good reputation with people and you know some of those other stories, you start kind of pulling at it. You can get some good answers out of people that way, and they'll walk off the stage and be like, "Wow, nobody's pulled me that far into that story before." Like, yeah, I do my homework. I know what I'm doing. And after a while, you work with the same people. They know that you know what you're doing, so they're just they're more comfortable when they see you three, four, six times a year. So
Mm. And you know what? When I've seen like clips of panels and everything like that, when I've seen just like celebs being interviewed, the one question I never hear asked, are you okay? I never hear that question. And it's like when I interview people, we'll start talking about something, and then I'll be like, hold on, wait, how did you feel about this? Like, not trying to turn it like a therapy session, but it's like,
right.
but like you see that, like they'll say something that's like in my head, like nuts. I'll be like, wait, so you telling me that this happened to you and you're just fine? Do you want a beverage? Like, what do you want? Are you okay?
Do
Do
you
you
need to
need
take a
something?
break?
And I'm just concerned because I want them to be happy and healthy too. So I need them to stop doing things. Just take a rest.
Yep.
And it leads to so many different things. And I think, like again, with you, your authenticity shows, and they're just like, yo, we can have a conversation. We can go ahead and let him, we know he's gonna ask us some questions, so we gotta, brace ourselves a little bit because we just
Yeah.
don't know which way he's gonna go with it. So it's like it's amazing that you're able to one see them as people and not idols.
Hmm.
Because I know that is a huge thing. Again, I know a lot of celebrities are like, I'm still a person. I make mistakes.
Hmm.
Life be lifing for us too.
Yep.
And the way that they're able to see you and be like, we know what we're gonna do. We're
Hmm.
fine talking with him. We appreciate him because he sees us as people too. And you ain't cussing him out how I cuss him out. I cuss him out
So, well,
cuss him out with love.
quick story on that.
Oh
Uh,
Lord.
so a couple of years ago, we had a show in Georgia, and it was about an hour and a half outside of Atlanta.
Mm,
And so we flew in, and we being me and one of the guys that does the podcast with me at the time. Um, it was my brother at the time. Harry is still my brother, but we were doing the podcast at the time. But anyway, we flew into Atlanta, and the company rented us a car, and they're like, "Hey, that's where a lot of people are going to be flying through because it's the closest big airport. Can you bring some of the people back with you?" And I'm like, "Absolutely. What time are they going to be here?" And we took the red eye. We were landed in Atlanta by 9 a.m. They're
mm.
like, "Yeah, we've got some folks coming in at 3, and then we've got some other folks coming in at like 6." I'm like, "Cool. So here's the plan. We're gonna go take a nap. So we're gonna make that hour and a half drive, take a nap, drive the hour and a half back, pick up some folks, and come back." And so the 3 o'clock person, and they didn't even tell us who we were picking up at first. So we're like, "Hey, who am I looking for?" But the 3 o'clock person was, I don't know if you know, Karen Ashley. She was the second yellow Power Ranger from the
Mm.
Power Ranger shows. And we'd had her timer too. And my job is to keep the car running. So when the security comes over and yells at me, "You can't park there," I'm like, "I'm not parked." So his job is to run out, go in there, go by the baggage claim and look for these people to see where they're at. And I told him, I said, "You know what? It's an hour and a half drive, and it's Karen. See if it's okay if we're just people, or if we have to be professional drivers. We have to be chauffeurs." And so they came out, and I popped the back end of it, and he's throwing luggage in, and my brother yells, he's like, "It's okay if we cuss." The Karen just shaking her head like, "Oh God, you guys." And so yeah, so we got to just have normal conversations for that hour and a half instead of having to like, put on the chauffeur's cap and the gloves or whatever, and be proper. We were just cutting up, talking about whatever. And the ride back at the end of the convention was even worse. We had to take one of our guests had fallen sick over the weekend and needed
Oh.
to go back to that Atlanta airport. And so I was in one car with a group of people. My brother was driving another car with a group of that person that was sick and Karen back there. And so the next time that we had Karen, he's like, "Hey, do you remember that time we had to take Grandpa's corpse to the airport with us?" And she's
Oh
like, "Oh
Lord.
yeah, I remember that." So yeah, it's just people, man. You've got your stories, they've got their stories, but when you can start having stories together, and then like, yeah, tell them about that time we had to drive the sick guy in the back seat back to the airport for an hour and a half with accidents, so we had to get off the main road and take the side roads, and Georgia has side roads that are a little scary at times. So yeah, it's you never know what kind of experiences you're gonna have. You never know when it goes smooth. That's great. It makes it easy. But when it kind of goes off the rails, sometimes those are the better stories to tell later. It might be intimidating in the moment, but then once you get back and you can laugh about it, like yeah, everybody's safe, everybody got home, everybody got paid, everybody's cool. Now we can laugh about that thing that happened that at the time we thought, oh my God, this is gonna be the end of it.
Hmm. So, my question to you,
Mhm.
who was, I'm not going to use the word no, starstruck is the proper word.
Mhm.
Was there ever a person you work with where you got starstruck to the point where you were like, I just want to say hi first? Like,
Well, I'd always say hi first anyway, but yes, two, I've had a few actually. There've been more than a couple, but yes, I've had those moments where it's like, okay, you know, and it's funny because we'll talk backstage beforehand for like 5 minutes, just kind of getting to know each other. And I'll ask them like like, hey, I'm a little bit starstruck right now. I'm just getting that out of the way. And then I'll ask them like, have you ever been at one of these things and seen somebody and you're just like, oh my God, you start fangirling out yourself. And they'll be like, oh yeah. And they'll start telling you those stories too. So now again, you've broken that ice. Now you're just having a conversation before you get up on the stage. So yeah, I've had a few. I had one year I was doing a convention and we did a Q&A with Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. The
mm,
lady with the black wig and the dress and stuff. And so, I was just like, oh, wow, that's so cool. One year I had Giancarlo Esposito. He was in Breaking Bad. He's in The Mandalorian. He's been in a lot of stuff lately. And that was one where I literally just kind of sat back and watched because he owned the stage. He was doing his thing. And I'm just like, cool. I get a break and I get the best seat in the house for this thing. So that's fun. I've had David Tennant from Doctor Who. That was a little
mm.
exciting, which again, these are just people. But yeah, you get a little nervous or whatever. So yeah, I've had multiple people, and it's always the weird ones that you wouldn't necessarily think that necessarily like those are kind of obvious. Like anybody's going to fan out over those, but like every once in a while you'll get like like a lot of times we work with the voice actors that did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in the 90s or one of the cartoons, and it's like, but that was my childhood, so I'll get a little more fanboyish about them than I might somebody like that's a bigger star. But he's like, yeah, but I work with them all the time. These guys are fun, and I've got four of them here together, so yeah, we all have those moments, and they have them too, and they just try to not tell everybody that they're geeking out like we do.
Understandable. That's how I feel about Steve. Like,
Hmm.
as soon as my brother was like, Kayla, I'm gonna be up there because he's going to be there. Because my brother don't fan out over nobody. He
Hmm.
can be in front of one of the most popular people. He can be in front of Beyonce. Not that I
Hmm.
would probably lose it in the mental.
Yeah, me too.
I'd be like, it's Beyonce, guys. It's Beyonce. But he, as soon as I told him, I was like, hey, Steve is coming. He said, I will be there. And we were just on the phone and I was just laughing. I was like, Marcus, Steven. It's Steven. He was like, Kayla, that's not his name. I said, I've been black all my life. I'm gonna add extra. I said, I'm gonna add extra letters for no reason, Marcus. I know it's Steve. It's
If I
Steven.
knew his middle name, he'd be going by that too.
Hello. I don't know. Every name is gonna be said.
Yep.
He was like, I understand you. I get it. But no, it's super duper awesome. And low key, that panel stuff, it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing. Look, I'm asking for myself now. Forget the audience. I'm asking for me.
Yeah.
Like, how would a person be able to get involved in that?
Doing like just doing the small panel room stuff because that's how I got started. And what those are is we call them fan panels, and it's an open application process. Like, hey, you're gonna have a room. There are gonna be people in it that want to be there. They're seeking you out. What can you talk about? What do you want to talk about for 30 to 45 minutes? Some people will come in and we've got, every town has their local filmmakers. So somebody wants to come in and show a rough cut of a film they're working on and get some feedback from an audience. Well, we have people do that. We
Mm,
have some people that want to do anime trivia for 45 minutes. Great. Those things pack out all the time. Those are standing room only a lot of times. Some people want
mm,
to do a deep dive into, horror and what the psychology of this particular franchise means to people and why it's so just whatever it is people want to talk about. We open the door and we say, all right, fill out the application. If there's a lot of similar stuff, we'll try to pick the ones that are like that can kind of stand for the others too. Like we don't want to have 30 panels on anime, but if we can have three, let's find the three that kind of meet the most of these. So, and then just or whatever. We've had people recording episodes of their podcast at the shows, in the panel rooms. I mean, it's kind of just open. And then, yeah, we sit down and we go through it and we see how many slots we have available and how many good panel ideas are there and try to put people in those positions and let them know, like, hey, you've got a spot at 3:30 on Saturday. So be ready.
mm. Interesting. Like, are y'all still looking for panel people? I might be free.
For this one, we are booked,
I
but we
believe
will have
you.
more shows coming up. So yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we have those on our website all the time, illinoiscomiccon.com. You go there, there's a page that says get involved, and it shows different ways you can be a part of the show doing different stuff. So, and we are always looking for people to be kind of, backup's not the right word. So, for example,
Mhm,
last year we had a show in South Carolina. As I mentioned, I'm in Southwest Missouri. And
mhm.
so as the week is getting closer and I'm watching the weather forecast because it's in January, I'm like, man, I don't know that this is going to happen. I don't know I'm going to be able
Oh.
to get to South Carolina. And so we found a podcaster in South Carolina who is going to be there. And the owner of the company is like, connect with this guy and see if he can be a backup. Like, if something happens, we need replacements. So we're always looking to kind of build a pool of local talent as well so that we have those backups and try to get them some repetitions on the stage or in the panel room so that they kind of get comfortable with that and know kind of how it goes. So if that's something you're interested in, then yeah, absolutely. Let's talk afterwards.
Look, I forgot. Look, why I forgot was it? It's me. It's me.
Yes.
'Cause it seems like it's pretty cool. And again, guys, he is talking to y'all about how y'all can get involved.
Yep.
And it's easier than what we would assume.
Yeah. A lot of people think you have to have a big production. You
Mm,
don't. If you just want to come and talk to people that are fans of the same type of things you're fans of, that's what we're looking for. Are authentic, genuine people. We have a guy who's part of our crew who I keep telling him, like, dude, you've got to turn it down. You turn the game show host down and just be a person for a while. And I'm still working on him. He's getting there, but he's taking a while, longer than I thought he would. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just, yes, there are different ways to do it. In some places, it will be very much, hey, everybody, and especially like some of those bigger shows, bigger cities. But again, we're going to places like Peoria, we're going to Birmingham, we're going to Tulsa. People just want to talk to people. And so we try to keep it a lot more casual, a lot more just, hey, we're just having a conversation and these people are in on it. They get to ask questions too.
that's beautiful. That is beautiful. So we're gonna wrap it up because
Okay.
I know that one, you got a whole lot of work to do because
I
that
do.
convention is the convention is when, where, and how can people get tickets?
Yes, it is Saturday and Sunday, November the 22nd and 23rd. So again, it's the weekend before Thanksgiving. We picked that weekend for a few reasons. It was available. The convention center was open. Even though they're booked a lot of stuff, the convention part was open. And I don't know what the school district up there, what their schedule looks like, but like a lot of times kids are off for the week of Thanksgiving. So there's not that pressure of like, okay, they got, if you have it in March and it's not spring break week, a lot of times it's, kind of Sundays kind of wrap up a little earlier. It's not as busy because people have to go home, start thinking about the work week or getting to school. The week of Thanksgiving, it's pretty laid back. Even if you do have to work or go to school, a lot of times it's like, I'm just kind of punching the clock. I'm looking forward to Thursday or Wednesday when I get out of here because then I'm really on vacation. But so yeah, so it's the weekend before Thanksgiving. It's November the 22nd and 23rd. It is at the Peoria Civic Center, and the tickets you can get online at if you just go to illinoiscomiccon.com. It's probably the easiest place. The venue has a contract with Ticketmaster, so they're the ones that are you're getting tickets from. But we found that sometimes it can be hard to navigate their stuff. So we've got like buttons, like if you just want a Sunday ticket, push this button. If you just want a Saturday ticket, push this button. If you want a weekend ticket, push this button so you don't have to go to their website and hunt for it. So yeah, we try to make it as simple as possible for people to get involved, to get tickets, to come hang out with us. We have early pickup times on Saturday and Sunday. So, the show will open like Saturday morning, will open at 10 a.m. To the floor to like come in and enjoy the convention. But I think at 8:30, we'll start letting people in the building. So you can come in and pick up, if you've bought a ticket online, come get your wristband or whatever. So you don't have to stand in registration with everybody else that still needs to buy a ticket. You can get on in. So we do try to encourage people to, if you can get your tickets online, and I know a lot of people like to wait till the day of, that's fine. I'm kind of the same person. But if you're committed and you can get your tickets, come get them early and get in faster than the people that are standing in line and waiting to buy tickets because those lines move slow sometimes.
Saying Uncle Ruckus, no relation. If you want to be told about yourself, if you want to tell somebody, if you want a Negro woman listening to you tell them about you, then you need to listen to her on what's the name of your podcast, Black Lady?
Tell me about you.
Tell me about who?
You.
Who?
You.
Your Negro ass.